we were talking about...
Let's not talk about guns and suicide and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a bit depressing, to be honest. What was it we were talking about before that? I think you mentioned it, actually. Can't remember what it was.
No, it's something you mentioned, Arthur. There's a theory about people who have big minds.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Small minds talk about small things, people and places, and big minds talk about big things like ideas and... I forgot the other one. You know, ideas and civilizations or something. The bigger the mind, the more abstract the conversation.
You see, this reminds me of when I worked in a university, and we had these university deans who would waffle on about their ideology of the world and how the world... This is why I think so many people in academia are left-wing, because they get all these big ideas and they live in a little bubble where they've never really ever left school, and they try to apply, and they just assume it will apply to the real world. And as soon as it goes into the real world, it falls flat on its face.
Yeah, because they're not in the real world.
Yeah. I don't think these people are big minds. I think they just have different backgrounds.
No, I think the big minds are just so far away from reality.
I don't think their minds are any bigger than ours. I mean, half of them couldn't use a printer.
Yeah, but is using a printer a big mind?
No, you'd need a pretty small mind to not be able to figure out how to print a
But
document.
I've done this with my next door neighbour. You know, I go around and ask. He goes, I went round there for a thing that when you're brewing, you drop this thing in a gravity meter. Yeah, I went round for a gravity meter, and he's like, I gave you one last time we did the brewing. And I was like, did you? And he goes, yeah. He's like, Earth to AJ, Earth to AJ. You know, how do you not know that? And it's because I was somewhere else. Mentally, I was somewhere else. Yeah? And I just wasn't on the ground doing stuff. My mind was just on automatic. I don't have this, ask the neighbour. Yeah, there was no interpretation of that. Because you have to break your link with or the context with what you're currently involved in to kind of come down to earth to deal with that. And then when you want to go back to whatever your thought processes were, it takes time to... A lot of people have problems with this. Computer programmers have problems with this. They hate it when people come in and go, oh, can you just do this? Can you just do that? And you're like...
breaks the conversation.
Breaks the concentration. You're like, for crap, you know. And it's just the question that breaks the conversation. It's not even the act of doing or contemplating. It's the pause in a succinct series of thoughts. Yeah? And that's why I think they're intelligent, is because they can operate up there.
I think they're just paying attention to something else. Their interest is in the abstract. Doesn't mean they've got a big mind. It just means that they're not too much interested in the humdrum, and they like to think about things on a larger scale. It doesn't mean they've got a big mind.
Okay, so if your ability to hold concepts and abstract them away is not a big mind, what's a big mind?
Well, no, it's not. I'm saying it's not relatively big, because we're saying that the people that think about abstract ideas have big minds, and people that think about people have small minds. It takes just as big a mind to study a person. I mean, look at Sigmund Freud. Did he not have a big mind? He was interested in people. What about Jung?
Yeah, but that's people in general. He wasn't interested in some guy with a six-pack on Love Island. There's a very big difference between the two.
Picasso's favourite thing to watch on telly was mud wrestling.
Yes, now we get into a separate point, is the ability that if you've been operating at a certain cognitive level all day, like going down the gym and working out other muscles that aren't brain muscles, you're exhausted. So you come home and you just put on any old crap, which is completely understandable, and that applies to everybody.
What makes you assume that he was just relieving his mind and just letting himself not... How do you know he wasn't engaged with the mud wrestling? Because this is a man who's a painter. He sees people draw, and he sees people in different angles. He might have really been focused on that as a real point of interest. It might not have been light relief for him, even though it probably would be for us.
Yeah, light entertainment.
Like bullfighting. See, he'd watch bull. Now, a lot of people, I'm sure, who go to watch bullfighting.
What was it? Hemingway was it?
Yeah.
Hemingway liked bullfighting.
For whom the bells toll.
Hemingway was he used to go hunting in
Africa. He was there during
the
Civil War, wasn't he?
Spanish Civil War.
Spanish Civil War, yeah.
But the point is, I don't think you can. I think it's snobbery to assume that because you're thinking about large scale ideas, therefore that's a reflection how big your mind is, And if you're thinking about more mundane, down-to-earth, simpler things, it means you have a smaller mind. I think that's a misconception.
If you could name every single house cleaning product since 1932, I'd say you've got quite a big mind to hold all that information.
We all have massive capacities for retaining information.
So we're all intelligent.
Relative to what? Relative to every other creature on Earth?
No,
yes.
just remembering something isn't sort of...
No, but if you take an average, you get the whole of humanity, you've got the stupidest of the stupid, you've got the average, and then you've got the very intelligent. You've got mental capacity,
but
application.
Right, so for example...
You've got to have that, otherwise everyone's the same.
Well, maybe we are all a lot more similar, but we measure intelligence in different ways.
Well, we're similar, we've got 10 fingers.
Well, for example, was Georgie Best intelligent?
But he
was a genius.
This is why I said the person that can memorise all house cleaning products since 1932. I'd attribute I wouldn't attribute intelligence to them. I'd attribute memory to them. George Best I'd attribute intelligence to because he's constantly assessing a situation and adapting accordingly. That's intelligence.
So
intelligence is applied knowledge.
How would we measure anyone's intelligence?
Applied knowledge.
Right. So what if you have, let's say for example, you are Georgie Best, but you grew up in a society where football isn't a thing. Would you assume he's not intelligent because he's never latched on to his gift? How many Georgie Bests are out there?
Oh, completely agreed. How many Lang Langs are out there, or how many Mozarts are out there?
Exactly. So measuring intelligence.
Yeah, but that's ability. Yeah, intelligence is an applied ability. Applied knowledge, applied ability.
You might be extremely intelligent, but have never applied that intelligence to anything anyone's noticed.
But the problem is you can just say, oh well, everyone's sitting there on their arse and they're all very clever.
That might be the case.
No, it's not the case.
How do you know?
Because there's stupid people out there.
Can I ask you what you asked me for? Where's your statistics?
Hmm?
What you said to me. Where's your statistic? How do you know?
In the 1970s, an old lady jumped off a bus. She didn't get the speed right. The bus was on a corner. She tried to match the speed of the bus when she disembarked. She was thrown forward, carried on running, went straight into a wall and died. Now, I don't think that old woman was very clever.
I'm sure Einstein must have done something stupid in his life.
We all do stupid things.
How do you know that woman wasn't an Einstein who on that occasion...
How do you know she didn't do repeatedly stupid things?
No, we don't. I'm in the camp of we don't know anyone's intelligent. Like people go for an IQ test.
I didn't know you're in the I don't know camp. Right, okay.
My theory is that our instruments for measuring intelligence are so flawed they're not worth the paper they're written on. Like if you have someone who has a low IQ, would you assume to be of low intelligence?
No, because savants. Look at that. But the thing is, a savant can memorise. It can't really apply. So, savants kind of would fail under that thing. As I said before, it's applied knowledge. That's, to me, what intelligence is. Yeah? It's to be able to accrue knowledge on a subject and then apply that knowledge. And real proper intelligence is to accrue knowledge, apply it, and then learn through the application of knowledge in already known domains, then apply it to a new domain, which is why we have scientific discovery.
Let's say, for example, going back to Georgie Best, let's say Georgie Best happened to be a very lazy person. That doesn't mean he doesn't have the ability to be brilliant. It just means he's lazy.
Well, you just put the nail on the head there. That's ability. We've all got ability.
Yeah, but he would
I'd get off my arse and go and become a race car driver.
Let's say Einstein.
You can do anything you want, Paul.
Let's say Einstein was lazy. He never bothered going to school. Couldn't be asked. He just wanted to work in an ice cream shop. We would never know that man's intelligent.
Yeah, because he never implied his intelligence.
Does it mean he's not intelligent just because he's lazy?
Yes.
See, I would disagree.
You have to apply it to show it. Otherwise, it's invisible.
Yeah, it is invisible. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it does. In all intents and purposes, it does because it's invisible. You can't see it.
Yeah, but so do you only have
it's
intelligence?
It's not there.
So do you
it's invisible.
All right. So do you think do you only?
That's the whole point of invisible.
Do you only think that the intelligence that exists in someone is what they demonstrate?
No, because you were just saying, "Oh, you don't know." Yeah? And I'm saying I do know. Okay, but let's take your don't know. It's invisible. You don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. you can't then measure intelligence. You can't say, oh, it's just whether you do it. It's just innately there.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. You can't measure it.
So you have to measure it by seeing it, by it being in practice. That's why I said the application of knowledge. Yeah,
I understand.
It's got to be it applied so you can see that it's intelligence at work.
That's what you can measure. But like I say, if you don't demonstrate your intelligence, it doesn't mean you don't have it. It just means it can't be measured, which is a different thing. So Einstein, the lazy Einstein, who never bothered going to school, it still has that intelligence. It just because he doesn't apply it doesn't mean he doesn't have the raw material.
How do you know it's there?
You don't.
But there you go then.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
there you go. But that's the whole point. If you apply it, you can metricise it, and then it's known.
If you see a man
If it's
on
not
a
applied,
bus,
it's unknown.
no one you see, do we know how intelligent they are? There's no way of knowing, because, like I say, you have to either practice at something to put it to use. You have to have it in a way that's demonstrated. For example, if it manifests itself in maths, you can give somebody a hard maths question, and you can see their intelligence in that way. But these are all things we use to recognise intelligence. But it doesn't give us 100% of the picture. It never will. I might be a genius at, I don't know, scuba diving.
If you applied yourself.
No, I might have the gift, but I've never used it.
But this is the thing. The Western world supports you in what endeavour you want to do. If you apply yourself to anything, you'll achieve some form of notoriety in that field.
But the key word there is want to do. What if I don't want to do it?
Well, that means you're a genius at everything, Paul.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. Just because I don't try to do something doesn't mean I'm therefore going to be successful at it. What I'm saying is, we will never know.
That's a counter argument.
No, we will never know if I'm a genius scuba diver. We'll never know. We'll never know if you're a genius scuba diver, because neither of us are going to do it.
Well, then we're not geniuses.
See, that's where I think you're wrong. You are.
You just said you never know.
Just because you don't know something,
you're not a genius.
No, just because you don't know something doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it does. It pretty much does.
You're
it
wrong.
doesn't exist. It just flat out doesn't
So,
exist. You can't see
you're
it.
back to saying that unless you actually demonstrate an ability to do something, you don't have that ability.
This is Schrodinger's cat. This is the iceberg below the surface. If I can't see the iceberg below the surface, it doesn't exist. Until I ride my boat over it and punches a hole in the hull and I sink and die.
But the problem is it does exist.
No, it doesn't. This is what Schrodinger proved. If you put a cat in a box, yeah, and I say, there's a cat in that box, yeah? Now, is that cat, is it alive or is it dead?
I don't know.
Yeah, so it's both alive and dead.
No, it isn't. It's one or the other.
No. Not according to Schrodinger, it's not.
Well,
it's both at the same time.
I think it's Arthur, right?
Yeah?
That's what I don't know.
It's exactly. It's either just because you don't know whether it's alive or dead doesn't mean it is both alive and dead.
Yeah, but I don't know does not instantly mean that you're intelligent.
No, I know it doesn't. It means that you don't know.
Okay, so that means you can remove all the I don't knows from the intelligent people.
No, it means that none of us know how intelligent anyone is because we don't have a method.
No, you do. If someone comes along and shows you a math equation and then applies it to a new field, you know that person's intelligent.
Yes, you do, because they've demonstrated
that's
it.
known.
That's known because they've demonstrated it. But I'm talking about
if you've got people sitting in the chair, look at the math equation, go, I could do that. They haven't done anything, so they belong in the I don't know.
For mathematical ability.
We're just taking examples.
Yeah.
These are all examples, yeah?
Yeah.
So you've got one person that applied it, one person that didn't apply it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got a known intelligence,
Yeah.
and you've got an unknown intelligence.
That's correct.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm happy with that. You've
Right.
got people that show their
So
intelligence
do you
that are known.
accept that the people who don't bother trying could be either intelligent or unintelligent?
No, because their level of unintelligence is unknown as well.
So
If you've got unknown levels of intelligence, you also have unknown levels of unintelligence.
Let's say I'm one of the people in the class who says, I'm not going to do the equation.
Yeah.
Right? Am I good at maths or bad at maths?
I don't know, because
Exactly.
you could be stupid or you could be intelligent. That's what I'm saying. You're Schrodinger's student.
No,
You're both stupid and intelligent.
Well, that's the thing, that you're saying two different things. You're saying initially what I agree with. If I refuse to engage with anything, you don't know if I'm good at it or not, which is what I would say.
Yeah.
It's different to say that he is both good and bad. That's a different conclusion, which is I disagree with. For For example, the
No,
cat
because he
in the
can
box.
be intelligent, he can be stupid. If you've got a person that's sitting there inert, not doing anything, and
Well,
you don't know anything about them, they could be intelligent, or they could be stupid.
Or not and. Or
Yeah.
not and. So the cat is alive or dead, not alive and dead.
No.
The cat's
wait a
alive
minute.
and dead, is it?
No, the cat is alive and alive and dead at the same time in the same space.
Arthur, this is completely
But
cuckoo.
you've got to pick it up with a German philosopher, not me. Yeah, so it's, fight that battle on your own. But the same is true. That person that's sitting there, you know nothing about.
What's the colour of my next door neighbour's house's door? What's the colour of my next door neighbour's house's front door?
Depends. Am I looking at it or someone else?
I'm asking you now. What's the colour of my
I don't know.
Right, exactly. You don't know. Now, if we were to walk round there and see that it is green,
But that's when you open the box.
Yeah.
And you find the
when you open
answer.
the box, you find the answer. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. There is no answer until
But
you
the
know
moment
the
at this
answer.
moment in time was going to bake a noodle. That's every colour in the rainbow. That door.
See, this is where you're wrong. If there isn't an answer, there isn't an answer. It's not there is every option and then you whittle it down to the one that it is. It's an I don't know. It's an undetermined.
Yeah, that's right. An answer.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
But that's what the undetermined is. The undetermined is everything
No, it isn't.
because it's all possibilities.
No,
It's not all possibilities. It could be one of whatever number of
No,
possibilities
it couldn't.
there
You
are.
know why?
Why?
Because it'd be freaking known. Thank you, Horace, my sodding case. Okay.
no.
This conversation.
You don't know.
Huh?
You say, I don't know.
So,
Yeah.
all right, you're saying that because we don't know the colour of our next door neighbour's door,
It's
it is-
all colours.
It is all colours.
Yes.
All right, we'll let the public decide on that, shall we?
The thing is, I'm just quoting Schrödinger, okay? So I haven't interrogated, and everybody has a problem with Schrödinger's cat because every time it's mentioned in a philosophy lecture, the fact that you put a cat in a box and then you close the lid on the box and the cat is both dead and alive at the same time in the same space at the same point in time, and you don't know till you lift it's both dead and alive. Yeah, I personally myself I can't get my head around that.
Because it's
Yeah.
nonsense.
No, rubbish. You just say you don't know. That's it.
But
And
I'm willing
the story.
to bow to superior minds on this one.
Well, see, I think
So-
you have a. I don't think you.
So
have an
if that's
inferior
what he
mind.
says, then
I
and
ha-
that's what modern philosophy is now getting built upon, then
I have it on good authority that you're a genius. Your friend told me you're a genius.
But you
And
shouldn't
I
accept
believe him.
that.
Well,
No,
I believe
you
him.
shouldn't accept that till you see it.
Why? I suspect that everyone has.
Yeah,
Maybe
because the
not
same
exactly
logic-
the same,
Well,
but
no,
I
because the
think
same
we have
logic
a
with
much more.
The same logic you have that says I'm a genius can be applied to. I've got reason to believe that everyone that's ever lived is a genius. It's the same logic.
Well,
There's nothing there backing
The
it.
reason I think you must be a genius is, well, not must be. I suspect you are. Is because I can't imagine why this person would have said that for any other reason than it being true. Unless he's wrong.
Well,
which he might
wait.
be
So
wrong,
okay,
but
so
I
in my
suspect he-
case, I am doing it because it's it's a very important philosophical point that is underpinning modern philosophy. Yeah. Okay. So I'm willing to accept that, and I'm willing to accept there's people out there that are cleverer than I am.
I think.
Yeah.
well,
Even
I suspect
though
that's
I
true, but
don't quite understand it myself.
I think we're.
I'd have to apply myself to that problem for many hours to be able to comprehend it. A bit like quantum mechanics. You
See,
know?
I suspect, this is, again, I don't have any statistics for this, I suspect that all human beings, there is a much smaller range of intelligence than is apparent, because I suspect that people who appear to be very intelligent are probably lopsided in their ability and is overcome. Like, for example, I imagine that Jimi Hendrix is probably absolutely rubbish at something because he had such facility for playing guitar that I imagine that this
He
is
lacked
just,
in other areas.
I
Yeah,
suspect.
Yeah,
And I also
exactly.
suspect to the same extent, these people who walk around shopping centres dribbling onto their own T-shirt, who look like total morons, are probably holding a ton of untapped potential in their brain that is invisible. So I suspect that we are all pretty much of the same intelligence, with a few exceptions.
What you
either
can
side.
say is Jimi Hendrix was a genius at guitar,
Yeah.
but he wasn't a genius at cooking.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean he's not a genius?
No, it means he is a genius.
Okay, how
You
does
don't
that
ha-
work
you
out?
don't-
Why doesn't the not genius cooking cancel out the genius guitar player?
No one's a genius at everything.
Hmm?
No
But
one's a
then,
genius.
then you could propose the thing that no one's ever a genius.
No,
So
no,
I'm trying to
what-
get to the fundamentals of your logic.
It would actually lend
Why is
it to-
guitar playing more important than cooking?
It's not more important, but you don't have to be a genius at anything to be a genius. If you're a genius at one
You don't
thing,
have to be a genius at anything to be a genius.
You don't have to be a genius at everything. to
Oh,
be a
right,
genius.
everything, right, okay. Don't say anything, because...
No one's suggesting, I don't think, that anyone has ever been a genius at everything.
No. Some
So
people
does
have
that
been
mean-
incredibly competent at a vast array of
But
things.
does this
but-
mean no one's a genius? Because no one's been a genius at everything.
But this is coming back to your point, is genius is a moving target.
I think there's probably a lot of geniuses out there, but only a few of them have manifested it in real life. Like, for example, I'm sure that Georgie Best wasn't the only person in the world who could play football that well, but his life panned out in a way that he worked at it and he had the opportunity and the gumption to do it. I reckon there's a lot of fat, lazy Georgie Bests who amount to nothing in life who are equally talented.
The thing is, if you got the entire world, if you got 6 billion footballs and you got the entire world together and you said, right, you've got to learn how to do keepy-uppies. You keep the ball up in the air like that. And you've got to do that for frickin' ever. Yeah? All 6 billion people, maybe with guards around and machine guns, are going to get good at keepy-uppies.
Yeah.
So they're going to be geniuses
Well, no,
at keeping the ball up in the
That's
air.
a skill.
You've just made 6 million geniuses.
No, genius is an aptitude for something. So it's not just
Why is keeping
work.
a ball up in the air not a genius thing? I can't bloody do it.
No, but you've got kids who can do it with very little practice, and kids who would take 10,000 hours, whatever they call it,
Yeah,
20,000
but that's not
hours.
that's not a delimiter of genius. People that are naturally gifted in a subject does not mean they're any more or less a genius than a person that has to apply themselves to attain the same level.
No, I would disagree. I think that genius is an aptitude to do something, not the end
So
result.
you only accept natural geniuses, not people that apply
What I'm
themselves
saying,
and become geniuses.
See, I say the kid at school who can do keepy-uppies for an hour, having only played 5 times,
Yeah.
is a genius. The kid at school who does it for an hour, having practiced every single day of his life, is not necessarily a genius. It might just be practice. He might be averagely
Yeah, but that's
talented.
muscle memory, isn't it?
He might be averagely talented, but because he's put in the hours, he's got the same result. Whereas the genius doesn't need to put in the hours because they are genius.
But okay, so apply this to football. Yeah, Ronaldo, R7, the Brazilian one, not the Portuguese one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Unequivocally one of the best footballers that ever played. Completely natural at the game. Won the World Cup while he had a broken foot or something ridiculous. Yeah, but was just innately good. Yeah,
Yeah.
He just was good at football. He's blessed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he really good, unbelievable. Yeah, and he's in the so they do the Golden Boot
Yeah.
thing, and they have the Player of the Year. Yeah, so the FIFA Player of the Year, they've now got a load of them that they've created the best team ever. So the FIFA, out of all of the Players of the Year, put them all together. Who are the best players in each position? Yeah, he's up front. Okay,
Yeah.
on the right wing. Do you know who's on the right wing?
No.
Beckham.
Right.
Okay. Now his ability to curl a ball into the corner of a net, that's not a natural ability. He was out there before anybody got on the pitch, and he was the last to leave the pitch. That's a learned ability. But I still think that's a genius ability to be able to bend it and get it into
To
the
be the
corner of
best
the net.
in the world, you have to be both genius and hardworking. It's not enough. If you want to be the best of the best, you've got to have both the aptitude and the work.
But yeah, I mean, so Ronaldinho, again, everybody loved watching him, and you can mention all of the Rooneys and the Messis and stuff in the world. There's something about Ronaldinho that just is captivating, and his career was probably only 4 years long. Yeah,
Right.
and he went out and partied all the time, but people still remember what he did and how he did it and how he tricked defenders.
Yeah.
He was innately good, and you ask anybody like Eden Hazard, he obviously had a longer career than Ronaldinho did. He's like Ronaldinho, that he's the guy that made me want to play. So people still congregate around that, and if you ask them, they're like, yes, he's a genius, even though he had a shorter lifespan and he went out and partied.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You have people who have the ability without putting in the hours. It's genius.
Yeah, but then what about the Beckhams that stay all night out practicing to make sure the next day they can get that in?
I think Beckham was a genius.
Right.
But I know what you're getting at. What about the kid who isn't necessarily that talented but puts in the hours and gets to the same level? That's great, but they're not genius. They're hard working.
I don't know about that. Beckham's the only example I can give. Rooney, I would give as an example of someone that I wouldn't put Rooney as a genius. I'd put him in an incredibly high-level, consistent player over a decade. That's where I wouldn't put him, but he achieved that through a fastidious work ethic.
I don't know.
He got to that.
I don't know if Rooney's a genius or not. He might be, he might not be. But I know.
But what I'm trying to say is to back you up. I put him not in genius level, but I put him in a very, very top class player because of his fastidious work ethic.
Hypothetically, I'm sure there are players out there who were successful at football purely because of their work ethic and their opportunity.
And there's other ones that innately are talented.
Yeah.
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 And I think the crowd decides who's a genius or not.
Well, I mean, people do agree and disagree, but
No, some players have charisma.
well,
But charisma's not talent.
Well, it is. Charisma's.
The spectators will say, "Oh, it's fantastic! It's great." Maybe because he dances around or so. I don't know.
Well, charisma's all part of the ability, you know. Charismatic people. That's like Michael Jackson. Just a naturally charismatic man. Nobody knows why. You can't measure it. But with Michael
that's why
Jackson,
you've got a show called The X Factor. That's
what they call it. Yeah,
there's no metric.
An immeasurable ability.
Yeah. So what are we? Where's our line of contention?
What was the initial?
So
point?
basically, there's genius out.
Big brains and little brains talking about.
So basically, you've got geniuses that don't apply themselves and geniuses that apply themselves.
Yes.
Okay, so you've got the known geniuses and the unknown geniuses.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we've come to agreement.
I'm happy with that, but then if I'm happy with that, I have to say everybody's a genius.
Well, not necessarily. You might have someone
Potential genius.
You might have someone, the odd person, who is just not a talented, intelligent. Their brain just doesn't function very well.
Okay, so you've got you know that thing they use at the airport to take your temperature? They put it on your head like that, and it's got
thermometer?
temperature. Yeah, but it's like an external one. They
Oh
press it
yeah,
into your
yeah,
head and it takes
yeah.
it. Imagine you got one of them that you can press against someone's head, and it gives you the reading of what they excel at,
Right.
and it's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get that person to then do that,
Yeah.
and till they become a genius in that area.
That you might have people who are just not. Their brain just doesn't function very well. Why would all 6 billion of us have exactly the same amount of mental potential?
So there are stupid people.
There are. And they're also extraordinarily intelligent people.
Yeah.
But I think, like I said earlier, I think the range is a lot smaller. Or maybe not the range, but the median or whatever it is.
No,
most of us are a lot
closer. The gap
closer.
between the extremely stupid and the extremely smart is a lot smaller than people think.
Well, I think I think most people are a lot closer to most people. That's what I think. I don't know if the range might be huge, because you will always get the extremes in both circumstances. You get people.
You just said you're a lot closer than people think.
No, I think most people are a lot closer to most people, but that doesn't mean you aren't the. There isn't a big range, because you might have
what do you mean by most people are closer than that?
What I mean,
you've accepted there's a large range, but then you followed that up.
No. The range might be huge,
right?
Because you might get the odd person.
Do you mean there's more people in the middle than there is at the extremities?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And I think like I said, most people are a lot closer to most people with intelligence.
Average intelligence.
Well, again, what kind of average are you talking? I mean, I just think that I think the simplest way of saying it is the way I'm saying it. Most people are a lot closer to most people in their intelligence than we would think. I still accept that you probably have the extreme cases, which means there might be a big range.
You have to rephrase that, because I don't quite. That's why I said
I don't think
most
I can
people
say
are in the
it
middle.
easier. Well,
They have to define intelligence.
Well, yeah, Dad. We're assuming that that's a grey area, but for example, I think, let's say, for example, I was amazing at, I don't know, swimming, right? I would still think that I'm not that different from most people. So I think most people are brilliant at something. My chosen thing would just happen to be swimming, and I've had the opportunity in life and the work ethic to succeed at it.
Right.
Now, there still might be a big range of intelligence among people, because you'll get the odd guy who's super amazing and has a brain that just is out of this world, and you'll have the odd person who's pretty much a vegetable but is alive. So the range might be huge, but regarding most people, I think we're all bunched up quite close to each other.
In the middle.
Yeah, yes, you have a little
Look, well,
We've got to be
not
somewhere
necessarily
on
in the middle. Well, the
spectrum.
thing is, we could be a little bit below the most intelligent guy, but a mile up from the vegetable.
Right, okay, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not necessarily in the middle. You know what I mean? It might be that the extremely stupid person,
we could be all bunched up between the middle and the intelligent people.
somewhere between, not necessarily the middle. But
I'm not saying
bunched
we
up
are, I'm
close
just trying
together.
to find out what you're trying to say.
Yeah, well,
so
like
you're
I say-
not saying the middle. Okay, that's fine.
No, not necessarily the middle.
Right.
Because like I say, extremely unintelligent people might be astronomically less intelligent than most people, but extremely intelligent people might only be marginally more intelligent than most people.
Yeah, okay, cool. And that's your
That's what I suspect.
thinking.
That's what I suspect.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah, and I mean, there's evidence to support that, because there's people out there that can understand, you put a hypothesis to them, or you put some kind of, you present them with something, and they can see, or you put them in front of a turner or a constable, and they can see the work and effort and how it's not a painting, it's someone literally playing with light. So they can see that and respect that and know that that is a genius. And that person's not educated, they've just, gone with their eyes. So they're a lot closer to be able to interpret that and understand the genius behind it.
Yeah, you get
Instead of
people who are
going like,
sensitive to
oh, it's a
something.
painting, isn't it?
Yeah, and well, I think that's our taste, and what we're into is like I might stand in front of a painting by, I don't know, Raphael, and just think it's like looking at wallpaper, where somebody might be stood next to me who thinks it's absolutely brilliant.
No.
Now, I don't think it's intelligence. I think that's just taste.
Yeah.
But
It's weird, because I've got 2 books on Hopper, and I like and don't like Hopper's work. I like it because it's a social commentary, and it's very, very interesting. Like the famous one of the cafe, there's no door into that cafe. There's one single light source, and also the woman's looking at the man, but the man's not looking at a woman. I mean, classic kind of. There's something that's happened there, and there's also a coffee and a newspaper and an empty stool, and that's supposed to apparently be for the viewer. So it's a very clever composition, but I don't like it like his other paintings because they're uncomfortable.
well, because the painting is more than just one thing. It's you might not like the artistic value of the painting, but you might like the concept of the painting.
But this is the thing, I like what it raises, which is the kind of uncomfortableness of modern living, but I don't like the subject of the uncomfortableness of modern living. But I hugely respect an artist that has taken the time and effort to encapsulate and capture that and present it.
Yeah, I mean,
because then you have a conversation around that.
Well, in the same way, I could look at the instruction manual to a video recorder and really respect that someone's actually managed to make an instruction manual for video recorder.
Yeah.
Yet I have no personal interest in it, and I find the subject very boring.
Yes, you can respect something that you aren't interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
So do you think big minds think of abstract things and small minds think of people?
I think they do both. No, I don't. I don't think they do both. I think small minds think of places and people because it's a level of control. It's to do with control. I think a lot of
small minds because they think of
You
places.
know, I
and
think a
people.
lot of our lives are decided for us. Just lots of different aspects, and what we get exposed to. Yeah, and what the outside world, what happens to us. Yeah, that's what I think personally. And I think to deal with the stresses and strains of having reality applied, having reality happen to you, is to have something in your life that you control. And I think that's true of people that work out a lot, yeah, and people that spend a lot of time on themselves. So that covers both beauty and, working out a lot. It's because you can look at your body and go, I did that. This is me. I achieved that. Yeah, and that's a form of control, regardless of what's going on in the outside world. It's one thing that you have, you own, and you control, and I think that's a very important thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
So and by saying that, what I'm trying to get across is because it's very divisive when you say things like small mind. Yeah, people go, I'm a pretentious freaking a-hole. That was anything small minded. What you've got to realise is it's actually an environmental thing, and it's a natural response to a situation. Yeah, is you want control of something, and we're not designed to be in the Western world. I mean, we've evolved to be in communities, to everything around us to affect us, and to be in closely knit environments with various limiting outside of our control factors like weather, yeah, like invading armies or whatever it is. For hundreds of years, you can get along in your close knit community, and that's what we're designed to do. That's how our brains work. So now that we're dispersed and we have these things just happen to us, if taxes go up, we can't do anything about it. If petrol costs more, we can't do anything about it. There's a lot of things we can't do anything about. So the mind just goes, right, what can I control? And it reverts to something.
So, right, but whether or not you are contemplating...
And by the way, my mind would do that.
Yeah, so it's not an indication as to whether you have a big mind or a small mind.
No, I mean, it's a coping mechanism. Mine is to pick up a magazine or a book and read, yeah, or play computer games, as I do. And other people like to watch Love Island and stuff.
See, this is what I think. I think it's just your chosen interest. Some people have an interest in people and places. Some people have an interest in, like, say, more larger scale things that happen in life. I don't think it's an indication of how intelligent you are or having a big mind or not.
But I think it has something to do with betterment.
You can better yourselves in different ways.
Yeah, but I don't know can you better yourself through Love Island?
Yes.
I don't know. How can you better yourself through Love Island?
I don't really... Well, Love Island... Now, this is what we were talking about the other day. Just want to clarify, I understand what you mean. Love
Island is couples that look extremely good looking on a Mediterranean island, and they're sent on dates or something.
Right, now, watching that might be valuable escapism for somebody to better themselves. They need the escapism, and it allows them to reflect on life, get some perspective. Some people just like the aesthetic pleasure of looking at beautiful people in a better situation than their own. It could be a productive thing to do. Okay.
Now, what is more likelihood? What's more likely that people can emotionally evolve and learn from Love Island, yeah, or the escapism, or they get embroiled in the drama of the show?
I imagine both happen most of the time. I think people wouldn't watch it without both of those things.
Well,
most people would watch it.
The people I know that watch it, they watch it because they're emotionally involved in the decision making between couples.
Right, now I imagine that
they believe they're part of the conversation.
But I think that they would probably be less likely to watch it if they had all that, but were ugly people living in a council flat. So I imagine both of them are actually taking...
Yeah, look, we're attracted to things of beauty.
Yeah.
That's just the way we are, The sculptors have been amazed by the female form for, since the dawn of time. So the thing is, though, is what's that show do for people? Like, if you go and learn the piano, you can evolve and get better at the piano. If you read, you get better at reading and understanding subject matter. Of course, that's dependent. You could read a book on the parking rules of Norwich, and obviously that's not going to do much for you, yeah? But let's just say, you bend towards things of learning, as it were.
I'm sceptical about reading books in terms of learning.
Well, you're sceptical of learning?
Well, I mean, I don't read books, and I remember at school they forced us to read some books. I remember they forced us to read To Kill a Mockingbird, right? And the big moral story is don't be racist. We weren't racist when we started reading the book, so why did we need to read the book? I mean, what's this big learning curve reading puts us on? I know that some reading's good, and it's it's just information. You can get information from looking or listening. You can get information from looking at a twig. Reading is just another thing we do to put information into our heads. I don't think there's any big intellectual growth that happens specifically through reading, which wouldn't happen through watching television or watching...
I don't deny what reading gives you can achieve in other ways. Yeah, but
I'm not saying it's bad.
To reading, it's unique. If you want escapism, you can find a story like that. If you want to factually explore why Russia is the way Russia is, you can find a book that tells you that.
You can find escapism through sleep.
Yeah, but you can find escapism through that twig you just mentioned.
Yes,
yeah,
I
so
do. I think reading's overrated, generally.
Do you think libraries are overrated?
Libraries, I think, are underrated and underused.
Right.
But no, I think
reading's overrated, but libraries aren't.
I think libraries could, if people
How
use
big do you want your
libraries-
shovel?
No, libraries are good things which are underused.
Right.
I go to it's a good place not just to read books, but libraries are
Quiet and contemplate. Yeah.
a communal hub.
Yeah.
And whenever I'm in the library in Wood Green, I do think, you know what? If more people actually knew of this place around here, this would be a better, more close knit community.
Yeah.
But with regards to reading, people who talk about reading like it's this highly intellectual pursuit that grows our mind. I think
it's
that's
the most
reputation.
democratic thing in the world. Anyone can pick up a book.
Anyone can pick up anyone can study maths.
Well, anyone can look at a twig.
Yeah, but I think the stigma of somebody who sits around all day looking at a twig is somebody who's probably got something wrong with them. Whereas somebody who spends all day reading books, I think there's a stigma of, that guy's probably really clever because he reads books.
Yeah.
And I think that is a false stigma. I think that there's nothing innately intellectual about reading, but it has this reputation for that. Yeah.
No, I completely agree with that. People and people that read for the joy of reading get lumped with that as well.
And that's great. If you enjoy reading, that's great. But it's no more highbrow to me than watching television or listening to radio.
Because you can read Jackie Collins's Riders or Jack Reacher. There's a load of... don't start me on Harry Potter, but there's a load of stuff out there that's not exactly pushing the boundaries. So I completely agree with you, and the same applies to TV. You can watch the highbrow TV. You can watch BBC's Pompeii, or you can watch Love Island. So there's the medium caters to the full spectrum.
But
you can have an interesting twig, or you can have a boring twig.
I would even say that there's no reason to say Love Island isn't as highbrow as any other programme. It all depends on the recipient of who's watching it. For example, when Picasso's watching wrestling, I imagine that he did that because it helped him in some way. Maybe it was just relaxing, but it had some important part in his life.
Yeah, that's why he did it.
Yeah,
unless he was
value.
Addicted to wrestling, and then maybe that's
addiction.
But that does not mean wrestling's intelligent.
Well, no, it's innate. It's inanimate, so it has no intelligence. It's the person.
Yeah, well, okay.
Receiving
watching
like
wrestling is not
phone.
indicative of intelligence. Yeah.
You can use things for good or bad. You can use things to get 1% of the potential out of it, or 100% of the potential out of it. Who knows? Maybe Picasso just used to like to vegetate in front of wrestling for a couple of hours. I don't know, or maybe he's massively engaged in it. It all dependent on the receiver of the information, not the information itself. Like, for example, Isaac Newton, an apple fell on his head. Now, if an apple fell on my head, I would think nothing of it, just an apple's fallen on my head. And if an apple falls on Isaac Newton's head, he's discovered gravity. An apple falling on your head is the same thing. It's all about the receiver of that information as to whether it's of high value or not.
Yeah, but there's a difference. So you've just highlighted it. So the reason that story's so famous is because only that happened to one person, and one person was like, oh, gravity must have caused that, yeah? But to everybody else, it's just an apple.
That's right, same event.
Well, and I'm saying the same true of Love Island. Love Island does not spur people to action or educate them.
It might do.
It puts them into a state of slumber. Or
what about the bloke Eureka? He just got into the bath and all of a sudden he walked out.
Yeah, but how many people have got into the bath and not shouted Eureka?
There might be exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah. There might be one person who watches Love Island and goes, "Hang on," and comes up with some massively, some big idea that no one's ever had before in science. How did you get that idea? I was watching Love Island.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen to the majority of people watching Love Island.
No, it doesn't. No. But
I would say people that read evolve more.
No, I wouldn't think so necessarily.
I don't think there's as many people out there reading absolute trash as there are people reading books that are interesting, have hugely diverse characters, explore different ecosystems, have different philosophical ideals, and just push the boundaries of possibility.
But those people sound a lot like, going back to what I said at the beginning of this, these university academics I used to work with, who supposedly they've all got their PhD, they're all doctors, a lot of them are professors, and you talk to them and you feel like you're talking to an 8-year-old child who's lost. Out of their element, they are useless because they have really hardwired their brain through this repetitive, studious activity they've done since they started school. These are now 65-year-old men who've hardwired their brain to, they can't function outside of that environment. And you'd think they're morons. Like, I've literally had to go into a professor's room.
Okay, so that's a good point. Okay, so does that mean that you only consider intelligence if they can conduct themselves like a normal human being?
No, I'm not saying they're not intelligent. They're
stupidly clever physics major, and he can also cook, clean, and got a good sense of personal hygiene.
I'm saying that the PhD professor, who's clearly intelligent, because you have to be, is not necessarily any more intelligent than the person who comes around and cleans his office when he goes home, who all they do really is watch Love Island, clean an office, and then fall asleep in front of the telly.
Why? Because
they just haven't applied it in a they've just haven't applied it in a way that's recognised by society.
But then we're going full circle. We're back to maybe everyone's got something they're really good at and they can show intelligence in.
Yeah.
But we don't know, and therefore we don't know. You have to push to one side.
Oh well, no. We just have to accept that we don't know, and if we don't know the don't knows, then we don't know relative to the don't knows who the do know, how intelligent the do knows are.
Well, no, because if someone pulls up and does an equation on a board, I do bloody know. I can see the equation.
Yeah, I know, but do you know they're any more intelligent than the don't knows? You don't know. So maybe they are. Maybe
no, but I know they've got off their arse and applied it themselves.
Yeah, which shows a lot of intelligence and attitude. But relative to everyone else, we don't know because we don't know how.
We do because the don't knows haven't done it.
No, but we don't know because they don't knows haven't done it. They do
because if the don't knows have done it, they'd be knowns.
They would be known, but just because they're unknown doesn't mean they don't have that intelligence.
They have the ability, but have they applied it? No.
Yes, right. That's the point. We don't. They just haven't applied it, or they haven't demonstrated it, but they might have it.
But that's what intelligence is. Intelligence is applied knowledge, used, put into practice.
But you don't become intelligent as soon as you demonstrate your intelligence. You're intelligent first, and then that manifests itself in what you do.
You have to apply You have to apply intelligence. Intelligence can't be inert.
Well, hang on. So did Georgie Best only become? Did Einstein only become intelligent once he had
proved himself?
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Same with Georgie Best. Because you stay in the unknown category.
Yeah, but just because you're unknown, but the thing is, so was he unintelligent until he came up with
No, I know, because we're now getting to your unknown. He's unknown.
Right, so...
He's neither intelligent or unintelligent.
Well,
he's unknown.
It's but you can't... If it's unknown, then you can't know whether he is or he isn't.
Yeah, it's unknown.
Yes, doesn't mean he's not intelligent.
But the guy that gets up and shows you the equation on the board, he's known. You can see his intelligence.
Yeah.
But you get another guy that goes up and just does doodles. He's obviously not intelligent.
Well, no, he might be doing...
So he goes in the unintelligent
But
category.
the thing is, there's a difference
So you've
between...
got intelligent, unintelligent and unknown.
What I think you're doing is you're equating known to is. Is and known are different. If you start doing keepy uppies, I know you're good at football.
Yeah, because you've applied.
No. I've witnessed. Right?
Yeah, but you've applied yourself. You've shown it.
But the thing is, right, we don't have a football here right now. Now, if I had only just met you right now, I wouldn't know if you could do keepy uppies or not. Doesn't mean you can or you can't. It just means I don't know if you can. Once you start doing the keepy uppies, that's not when you become able to do it. You're always able to do it. You just hadn't displayed it.
No. How do you know?
I don't know. But it
Until you do it, you're unknown.
I know it's
You've got to do it to
unknown,
become known.
Arthur, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Your ability to do keepy
Yeah,
uppies...
it doesn't exist till you apply it.
Right, so you're telling me
Yeah.
that if we were sat here and I'd never met you before and you did have the ability to do 100 keepy uppies with a football, you wouldn't be able to do that until you showed me how to do it.
If I had the ball here and said, Paul, I can do 100 keepy ups.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm unknown. You haven't seen me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could be good or bad
Yes.
at that point.
But you are one or the other, I just don't know which.
Yes.
Right, that's the difference between what we're saying.
So
are
but as soon as I
able
let
to
go of
do
that ball and I do 100 keepy uppies, I've now proven, and I'm now in one of those categories.
No,
aren't I?
you were always in there. You've just shown me which one you're in. You were always able to do those keepy uppies. You were always a person who
How
could
do you know?
do it. I didn't know until you showed me.
There you go.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's different to say that I know you can do keepy uppies to whether or not you can or not. Like if you say, if I'm in court, right, the person in court doesn't become a murderer once we find out through the trial. They always were a murderer. We just didn't know. They didn't become a murderer once that became found out.
No, but then murdering was known.
Not until we found out through a trial. that
No,
he was
because
guilty.
you got witnesses and CCTV. That was always factual.
Yeah, but we didn't know it. Like your ability to do keepy uppies was always
recorded.
a fact.
No, but the guy doing the...
There might be a video of you doing keepy uppies on your wife's computer that I hadn't seen.
Yeah, exactly. So the guy that does the equations on the board, that could be videoed halfway around the world. Yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Now that guy is, because there is a video of him, known.
I'm talking
So
about...
his intelligence is known.
No one's disputing the person who demonstrates an ability has that ability.
Yeah.
The ones we're talking about are the ones that don't demonstrate that ability.
But they have.
No, the ones that don't. The other
No, but
people
the
in the
murder's
class.
demonstrated his ability to murder.
No, the murderer, in the case of a trial, would be that, let's say, for example...
It's not unknown because you've got witnesses and you've got CCTV and you've got a bloody knife.
Yeah, but until
So
you've
got
actually...
those things.
You've got evidence. You've got...
You've got objects that prove the murder. So they
yes.
exist. So you know...
Which is my
they're
point.
there.
So he is a
the
murderer.
trial can manipulate these bits of evidence.
Exactly,
yeah?
that's what I'm saying. He is a even with no evidence, he is a murderer. In the case of a man who's killed somebody, goes into court, right? Verdict comes out. Now people are watching. Now people have seen the evidence presented to the jury. A lot of people think he's guilty. A lot of people think he's innocent. We don't know. Then
Well, no, he's not a murderer. So if he stabs someone...
no, he might be a murderer. It's just that we don't know because we haven't... The evidence might not have been presented to make it 100% conclusive. It might be beyond reasonable doubt, but we don't know. You see, until something's demonstrated, it doesn't mean it hasn't happened. It just means it hasn't been demonstrated.
Forget the whole trial thing. If you've got a guy there and there's someone dead and there's a knife and something recorded it and someone saw it through the window.
Yeah.
You've still got the CCTV, you've still got the knife and you've still got the person seen through the window. Those things exist. As soon as the act happens, the blood on the knife... As soon as the act happens, the blood on the knife happens. The stuff happens on the CCTV that's visible, and the person seen through the window. All three of those things become
Yes.
Yeah, and they're a recording of that event.
Yeah, they approve the
Yeah.
event.
Now,
Yeah.
the thing that this becomes interesting, because I was just thinking then when you were talking, right, okay, you're in the middle of a desert, yeah? Someone's opposite someone, they got a knife, they stab that person.
Yeah.
They then walk into a police station and they're like, I just killed someone, here's the knife. Yeah? That goes to court, that thing. And you get to your known and unknown, and does the known and unknown finish and it becomes known when he walks into the police station? Yeah?
Right, the person in the desert is a murderer. Yes?
At one point, is he a murderer?
At the point he murders someone.
Right, okay. That
Now-
he becomes known as a murderer?
No, not known, because he's in a desert. Nobody knows he's a murderer. No one's seen him. He has to go into the station and confess.
But that knife shows he's a murderer.
Yeah, but nobody's seen a knife. Nobody knows he's a murderer because he stabbed
Oh,
someone
wait,
in
no,
the
no,
desert.
wait. Yeah, you know your logic's sound. Yeah, okay, yep.
Right, now let's say he walks into a station with a bloody knife and says, I've just killed someone. Now, it's pretty
That
likely...
murder then becomes known.
Well, pretty much.
And he becomes known as a murderer.
Well, there is obviously... There is a possibility that he isn't the murderer.
But let's just say he, you know...
But he is.
Yeah.
He is. But he was a murderer from the point he committed the murder, even though
Yeah.
no one in the world knew he had done it.
No. And I'll tell you why. Because the line of thought that I was thinking, that I haven't told you about, is if he is in the desert, and the whole point of it being the desert, if he murders someone, he's got the bloody knife, then he buries the bloody knife, all intents and purposes, he's not a murderer.
He is a murderer.
No, he isn't.
He murders someone.
You can't prove it.
I know, but that doesn't mean he isn't a murderer.
No, he's not a murderer.
He is. He's murdered someone.
Because it's not seen, it's not known.
I know it's nobody knows he's a murderer, but he is a murderer. He murdered someone.
Well, this is all from the...
Does anything exist that isn't known?
What I'm trying to say is it's relative. Until it's known, it's not... If he walks out in the street, no one knows he's a murderer. So in all intents and purposes, he's not a murderer.
But look at your sentence. Nobody knows he is a murderer. Do you see what I mean? Nobody knows he is a murderer. He is a murderer. It's just that nobody knows it.
Well, that's the crux of the issue, is whether you're dealing with... You're an omnipresent something that can see everything at all times that then knows he's a murderer, or you're you and I who are in the street and see him.
The knowing of something doesn't make it.
It does.
It does. It
does to you and me that meet him in the street and he seems all right.
It matters.
That's why it's relative.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't change the facts of the matter. What we know. You know what I mean? It's like...
No, we don't. That's the thing. We don't know he's murdered someone and buried a knife.
That's right, we don't know, but he is. He happens to be a murderer, but we don't know it.
How do you know?
We don't know.
There you go, see? So
I'm not
we don't
contesting
know.
that we don't know. What I'm saying is he is a murderer.
But then you've got 2 points there. One, an omnipresent being that was in the desert and saw the stabbing and the burying of the knife, and he's got like, that guy's a murderer. And then you've got us in the street that meets him after he's buried the knife and killed the person and walked in town and straightened his jacket and going, all right, my name's Bill. You're like, oh, Bill sounds pretty sound.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Exactly, we don't know he's a murderer.
But that's 2 points of view there.
But
Omnipresent, us in the street.
Yeah, now the difference is that we don't know he's a murderer and the omnipresent being does. It
Yeah.
doesn't change the fact that he is a murderer.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't. Well,
Because to us, it's an unknown, and to the omnipresent being, it's a known.
So are you saying that until we know he's a murderer, he isn't a murderer?
To us, yes. This is what I'm trying to say, is there's 2 points of view.
But therefore...
There's 2 points of view. This is what... Because, you know, you get this whole...
It cannot be both true that we know he isn't a murderer and that we don't know.
No. To us, he could be a murderer or not a murderer. We don't know.
That's right.
To the omnipresent being, he could be a guy that's just walked across a desert, or he could be a guy that stabbed someone and is a murderer.
But
so the omnipresent being knows.
Yeah, but there's an objective truth here and our subjective knowledge.
Yes.
The objective truth is that he is a murderer.
Yes, from the objective point of view, and from our subjective point of view, we don't know.
That's correct.
Yeah?
But he is a murderer. If you don't know the answer, that doesn't mean there isn't one.
No, I can't contend with that because no one knows. The world does not know that he conducted the murder.
But not knowing something in itself means that there is an answer that we don't know. But that doesn't mean there isn't an answer.
Well, no, I see the answer in itself as we don't know. I don't see it has to be then diluted down to murderer, non-murderer.
Well, so is the cat in a box then both dead and alive? Is the man who we don't know is a murderer and not a murderer?
Till we know. The thing is, are you asking Trojan or are you asking me?
It doesn't make any difference. Because
for me, it's like, yeah, I find it hard to contend with. But I can contend with not knowing. I can't contend with both possibilities being alive in the same physical space and time. Occupying the same space and time.
I agree with you that they're not both, because it's incompatible for them to be both.
Yeah.
It's a binary question.
It's a logical fallacy.
Exactly. So this bloke who says the cat's alive and dead, it's a binary state. You can't be a bit alive or a bit dead. You are one or the other. You cannot be both. So the cat isn't alive and dead.
I don't know, because I haven't looked into this enough and I haven't wrapped my head around it. Because what it then taps into is quantum computing, which does exist. You can have a qubit out there that is both 1 and 0 at the same time. Yeah? So
I don't know about
okay,
that.
so you know computers are 1s and 0s.
Yes.
And a bit of memory on a computer can only be 1 or 0.
Yeah.
And that's how information is stored.
Right.
Quantum information, a qubit, a bit stores 1 and 0. A qubit is both 1 and 0 at the same time. And that's a real thing. It exists. And it bakes your noodle. It absolutely bakes your noodle.
Is it that it is both 1 and... So, okay, I am male and white. Is it in that sense that it's 1 and 0?
No, you're both male and female, and you're both black and white.
Yeah,
all at the same time.
I can't get my head around that. How you can be two binary things simultaneously that are mutually exclusive.
It gets weirder. The whole quantum computing has to be done unobserved, because as soon as it's observed, you break the quantum state, and the qubit drops into either 1 or 0 while the compute is happening. So you have to wait for the outcome of the quantum process to get your result of your quantum computing. Yeah, you can't. It's not unobservable. It's your observation of the process breaks the process. Yeah.
No, I mean you've lost me there. My brain won't.
Oh yeah. Mind that I can't fathom it. I can't get my head around it. Yeah, it's completely abnormal. Yeah, but they've already done quantum entanglement, where you've got a particle that is entangled, and it's like getting twins. Like you've got twins, and one will have an itch, and the other one will itch the itch on their body.
Right.
But the actual other twin had the itch.
Yeah.
They're so connected that they have the same experiences, and that sometimes they've even developed their own language. Yeah. So, but imagine that at the particle level. They've even separated particles out, put them vast distances apart. I can't remember where these labs are, or whether they did it in space on Earth or whatever. But then they did tests on them, and they had atomic clocks on them to show that what happened to one particle instantaneously happened on the other entangled particle. And this has massive ramifications for communication, apparently, because you can then put one particle on the moon, have one on the Earth, and instead of 12 minutes or whatever it takes to get to the moon or whatever time it is, it's instantaneously there.
Wow. Yeah.
So, what I'm saying is this is real. Yeah. So Schrodinger's cat is. I don't know if it led to quantum mechanics or whatever, but it's a pillar of understanding this. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. When I'm thinking,
but
of
it still
like
bakes my noodle. So.
Yeah. I mean, we have 5 senses. Imagine.
Well, if you're stupid, none.
Yeah. Now, a worm. What can a worm do? It has touch. Can a worm taste? I don't know.
It can contract and expand. That's how it moves.
In terms of senses, let's say a worm...
Hot and cold, maybe?
Yes, I imagine it has touch.
Yeah, probably burrow down when it's cold and come up when it's warmer.
And it can sense the rain. So maybe, I don't know if it can hear anything, or maybe it senses the vibrations. okay, let's say a worm has no sight, no sense of smell.
Yeah.
Let's say it can't hear anything.
Yeah.
All it's got is touch and taste.
Right.
Imagine what that worm's perception of the universe is.
Yeah.
And imagine what ours is relative to that worm's.
Okay, now you get.
We have 5 senses.
Uh-huh.
Let's say there's a creature out there that's got 12 senses. Or 7 million senses. Our perception of the universe is probably so minuscule as to what there is that these kind of things like you described with that one atom that results in an instantaneous reaction in another atom miles away, it might just be beyond our 5 senses to actually be able to perceive why that would be the case.
Yeah.
So so there is that kind of get out clause on the unknown.
What you're talking about is Plato's cave. Okay, so Plato supposed that if you got a man, put him in a cave, handcuffed him against the wall so that he couldn't move, and he grew up in that cave, and that you were behind him with a candle, and you did shadow puppets on the wall, of characters fighting and battling, would the shadow puppets not become his world? That's what he proposed. So if you limit a man's spectrum, you limit a man's senses, and then you only focus on one, in this case light and sight, does the light and sight and those shadow puppets not become the entirety of that person's world? Because they live in a cave and they've got no other senses.
Well, it's all he's aware. It's the only part of the universe he's aware of.
Yeah.
So he builds his consciousness using
around
those.
what he knows. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So philosophers have been playing with this concept for a long, long time. Yeah, and it's a very interesting one. Yeah, because you've got animals that have a limited sensory range, very small, and operate in a small space.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got us, and we've got 5 senses, and we're the most important species on this planet, whatever, and we're the custodians of this planet. Yeah, and then you might have species out there that have colonized hundreds of planets, and they have 12 senses, and they can zip through space and time at immeasurable speed.
Imagine.
Yeah? So I know it's scales of,
Imagine you're a worm and you're on the surface of the Somme in World War One, and all that pandemonium going on around you, and your experience would be exactly the same as it would be if you're in the middle of a field in the middle of nowhere, because they can't hear anything. Nothing's touching them.
No, but the ground is moving.
All right, you'll get the vibrations. Granted, you'll get the vibrations.
And also there'd be a lot more water, and the texture of the soil would be different because there's blood in it.
But
so there'd be a little bit, but marginally.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be enough for the worm to go, fucking hell, I better get out of here, boys.
The experience of a worm in the middle of no man's land during a World War One fight would probably be pretty much the same as it would be if it was in an earth shudder.
Yeah.
In a tremor.
Yeah.
We might right now be sat in the middle of no man's land with a war going on around us, but because our 5 senses can't pick it up, we're just totally oblivious to the pandemonium going on around us.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
So these...
No idea or concept or ability to see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's an amazing... what we don't know. We don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
But
it's nice to postulate.
Oh yeah, and these things. When we get a sense of something like with these 2 atoms or whatever.
Yeah. It should point to both of us.
It just it does sort of break the foundations of any of our theories. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And it shows what we don't discover.
We've always got to hold that possibility that we're fundamentally wrong.
Yeah.
Even the things that seem obviously right.
Yeah. I mean, I like to think that we're an alien child's school experiment. I think that all the alien children turned up to school one day with their little planets in their hands and their bags packed by their loving parents.
Yeah.
And they had to spawn that planet with life, and that was what their either their classroom exercise was or their homework.
Yeah.
And I think the little alien child that spawned on our planet, let our experiment run on a little bit too long. Basically, went, oh shit, damn it, I forgot about the experiment.
Yeah.
So, because, you know, the missing link between mammals and apes and us.
Right.
Yeah, there just seems to be, we just jump. You know, there's nothing there in between.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, you know, you have to ask the question, what happened? How did that happen?
We could have dropped in from a totally different ecosystem, which might not even been on this planet.
But the thing that annoys me, Paul, is the fact that any postulation you put to this problem, everyone goes, oh, don't be so stupid, that's ridiculous. And it's like, well, you don't have any... You don't get a say on this. There's nothing there between those two skeletons. There's a blank, there's an empty space.
Yeah.
And also there's a massive cranial difference between the two. Yeah, and one's upright and the other one isn't. And there's just a massive leap.
Yeah.
Now, something happened there and you don't know. So you can't tell me I'm crazy for saying that a little alien child has the Earth as a pipette and drops humans on there. You know, it's because there's nothing else there known.
Exactly. No, you're right.
You can't shit on people just playing with the concepts of what could have happened. What are the possibilities for life on Earth? Yeah. Because it's a playground for the imagination when evidence doesn't exist. I'm going to get that on my tombstone. Playground for imagination because evidence doesn't exist.
Imagine you've got a worm, husband and wife, and the wife metamorphosises into a human, and for a day lives as a human with 5 senses. And then metamorphosises back down to being a worm, and she tries telling her husband what it's like to be a human. The husband would be, oh, don't be so ridiculous. Colours? What are colours?
Yeah.
You know, What's sound? You know, it's ridiculous. Stop being silly.
But the thing is, he doesn't have the concepts for what she's saying. He wouldn't know what sound is.
Exactly.
So this is why people that take DMT, when they come back, they're people like, oh, what was it like taking DMT? And they're like, you just can't explain.
What's DMT?
It's like a mind-altering drug or something.
Oh, right, I see, yeah.
So you come away from that with your conscious massively expanded, and everything you know and believe and understand shrunk down. Yeah, and you see it from a completely different, massive viewpoint. Yeah, you're able to encompass more, you know, with the 12 senses thing. You're able to encompass more into your range of understanding, and consciousness than you have ever been able to. And in the corner is where you've spent most of your life in that limited array of consciousness and understanding in your 5 senses. And then, boom, you zoom back into that, and then people are like, so what was it like? And you're like, we don't have the language to explain that. I can't tell you what that was like. There's no way I can use... And this is another thing. People don't realise it's actually limits the English language. There are things, because I was talking to my friend in Thailand, funnily enough, you know, Martin. And I said, so what's it like learning Thai? Because when I was there, I was learning a little bit of Thai. And I said, how do you do it? And he goes, I did this, that, the other, stuff like that. I said, this word... Because I heard a word, I said, this word, what does it mean? He's like, interesting, I don't know really. So I said to him, if you don't, I said, do you know what it means? He goes, I know what it means. I said, what does it mean? He goes, well, I can't really say, to be honest. I said, well, how do you use it? How do you know? And he goes, well, I can't tell you what it means, because we have no comparative. My advice to you is, use it in conversation when you're speaking Thai, and if they laugh, you haven't used it correctly. And then you'll understand what it means. So obviously, in Thai, they've got words that exist outside of our known understanding that we represent through the medium of language.
But couldn't we get it in like 10 words? Couldn't we get a ballpark idea of what they're referring to?
I don't know. I mean, I only had one conversation around it. It's the most extraordinary conversation I've ever had.
Because words...
And he was quite an intelligent chap.
Words are like fingers. You know, they can be... clumsy. Can a finger pick up a breadcrumb, you know, or an atom? Sometimes words can't get the meaning of something very specific, but there must be a way of describing a word in a foreign language.
Well, look, you're a dictionary. You can interfere with everything around you through the medium of language and the words you have available to you, but that mug's outside of your reach.
But I could say it's a ceramic object that you use to drink from.
Well, no, because it probably represents a concept that we don't really talk about in our society.
I'll be amazed if the Thai have got anything of that magnitude.
Are you seeing Martin again?
Hopefully.
Okay, we'll ask him about this incident.
All right, I will.
Yeah?
Yeah.
See if he remembers. I'd love it if he remembered, yeah?
Great.
All right, I'll stick a pen in that.